In this video help, we're going to be looking at the next thing, which is the consignor data screen. When you have consignors come into your store and you're adding them to your list of consignors, this is the screen that you'll put their information in. For example, I have my basic information in here, and you'll see here that I have the address, telephone, and all that kind of stuff on this side. And if you have a website, or the person has a website and you want to visit their website, put their website in here, and if you click on the go to site, it will take you to your browser and allow you to view their website. For people that are familiar with consignor store credit, this little area down here is used when you add items for your consignments, and then those sell. You'll be given credit in this line right here for all the consignment commissions that you have for your particular store. In this case, I've only got one record for sum of sales in here. That's the entire amount of sales, and whatever the commission is, that would be the commission for the consignor. If you have store credit and you're going to issue money to people, the next thing would happen, it would show the balance of the consignments that are up here. For example, if there was $80 here, the credit balance would be 80, and if you click into this blue field and add an amount under 80 and you have 80 in the credits, you can use any part of that for your buy in-store type of credits. Now, different people use this in different ways, and we have both options. You can use store credit to allow your consignors to come in and when they consign stuff and it sells, to use the money that they collect in commissions to go ahead and buy things in your store. Or, as you're going to see later, you can also send them a check for their consignments, and we'll be covering that when we get over here on the consigned items linking listings. Okay, from the top of the screen on this side, we've covered down to here, but now we're going to go in the next step. Suffixes are like junior, senior, or whatever. Date of birth is kind of important. What it does is if you put the person's date of birth on this record, if somebody is trying to use their data or use their credits or whatever, you can have their birthday in there and you can ask whoever's trying to use them what the date of birth is. And if, say, like it's your father or your mother, and you want to know the date of birth, if somebody's in there and says that they have credit that they want to use, their mom sent them, you could say, okay, give me the date of birth. If they can't give you the date of birth, you don't want to sell them anything. The rest of this information over here is the sum of sales for this particular consignor. And I'm going to show up here, the consignors actually get a numeral for each consignor that is assigned a place on the application. Each time a new consignor is added, for example, if you come over and you say add a record. Now, add a record is only on very few screens, so you're going to only see it for primary screens. And what you would do is click it, and if you clicked it again after the one was shown, everything would empty out on the screen and go blank, and then another new number would be like 2, and that would be the second person listed in the application. And by the way, if you need to, you can have multiple consign numbers and records in the application if you want to, where you can bring in, say, for example, you have a picker, you're a picker and you're picking things, and you actually have your own account too, where you bring in your personal stuff. You can have more than one record. The first record, number 1 in the application, is always going to be your store, and you can also have multiple stores if you need them. So what you would do is you'd put your name in there and so forth, and then you put the name of your business in there. For example, a lot of people like to just put their business name in there, but it's best if you have a name, so if you call somebody, you know who they are. You have a big space down here at the bottom where you can put notes on your store about that particular person, and or some things that are important in notes and comments that are related to that client. We'll find that there's other things where there are going to be notes where you can put them in and work with the application. The next thing we're going to be looking at coming down from the top is the list view. Now I'm going to click on it. What it's going to do is it's going to change screens, and you'll see that this is what we were showing in the first videos, where this is a list view and it has the information that's brought over from that screen we were just in. You can navigate over here to any place in the application you want to with one click. And of course, you can always go back to the screen you're viewing The next one you want to go to is the consignor data. We're going to go back to that record. So we're going to click that. We've also could have used that edit button that was at the end of the row to bring you back to this screen. So that's the list view. And there's list views on almost all the screens in the application on the app menu or app map records over here. And like I said, there will only be a few records that will show the add records. In this particular case, we're adding a major thing. We're adding a consignor. We would fill in the city, the state, zip, and the primary phone, a second phone if you have a spouse that you want to have a second phone for. You can have a business name if this is probably a business fax, or another phone that you can put in here. What type of consignor are you? You can have a loose leaf type of a thing where you can put, for example, if they're a picker or they're a business or whatever they might be, they can put that information in there that would help you to identify the kind of things that this particular consignor does. You have a contact, second email, and second phone if you need it. Okay, that takes care of this area. Next thing we're going to be looking at is this little item over here. What happens is every time you add a new consignor, it'll fill in the name and it'll give the consignor ID here. Once you have more than one record in here, if you click on the name or the consignor ID, it will take you to that record. So you can navigate directly in this screen to any other consignor information record. So that would be this record or any other one that's on the listing here. So just tapping or clicking on this or the consignor ID will take you to that record. You can always go back to the list view and you can do a find for the kind of person that you want with whatever information you want. Or I just want to point out that if you go over here and say start a search and you pick, say, something that's not just this record, but it's on all records. Say like I want to find everybody in the zip code for 86351. I would start the find and then I would go ahead and put in the 86351 in here in the zip. And now what I'll do is I'll go ahead and go here and say, whoops, I said add a record. That was wrong. So let's go back a record just so you can do that. Let's go to the first record and it brings back the data. So you can always make a mistake and then recover from it. Now in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the do action and say perform the search, and it's going to bring up the record you were looking for. Now that I have two records in there and one's got a blank data in it, I'm just going to show you can do this. Let's just go to the next record. Under do action, it should go to the next record, or I can just say first. And I'm getting a little, let's go to last record. Apparently when I did that step on the thing for the new record, I probably didn't press hard enough to make it actually add a new record. So these are the kind of things you might run into, and you might have to ask yourself, what do I do now? Okay, so let's go ahead and add a record. I was intending to do that. You can see now that it adds the second record. And what you would do in there is you would say test, and I'm just throwing into so you can see it. And I'll say test. It'll say number 2 is a test record. So now we can see how we add new records, and they will, based on the alphabetic, they'll go in there by alphabetic, and then you'll be able to pick them. So this is alphabetically listed. Now, over here I could have also gone, let's go back to first record, next record, prior record, and last record. So you can see now this area over here is actually where when somebody has to have their consigned items returned, and they want to set the standard for how they're going to do that. If the records, say for example, they have records that have run more than 90 days, and you tell them to bring the stuff back home or back to wherever they brought it from because it's run its time in the store, what you can do, they can tell you they want you to donate it or return it for all the records that they have. That way you would just go ahead and click on return if they wanted them returned, or donate. And if you need to, you can add notes about in certain circumstances they may want to either return or donate things. It depends. Okay, well that's the basic data for first primary screen and adding information and adding a new record. The next thing we want to do is we're going to be going through these screens, and I'm going to come back in the next video and explain how all these items work. So let's go for now and come back to the next new video. Thank you.